Okay. I don't know why I become an emotional wreck when I read the Word of God, but man, the more I come across this word, here in just a second I'll show you, the more I am just moved by it. So here it is. I'm reading out of John chapter 21, verses 15 through 17 right now is what got my attention. It's where Jesus is talking to Peter, and Peter had already just denied Jesus 3 times. And now Jesus comes back to him and asks him 3 times, Peter, do you love me? Then he gives him the instruction to feed his lamb, tend his sheep, and then feed his sheep. And this word love that Peter uses, he says, you know that I dearly love you. And this word is philo. And when reading here, it says properly to show warm affection in intimate friendship, characterized by tender, heartfelt consideration and kinship. So I come down here and I'm just reading through, just seeing what it has to say about whatever, And it, at one point I get down here and it makes a distinction between the 2 types of love there are and whatnot. And then used in Greek, the 2 types of love used in Greek. And then it comes down here and breaks down these words of love that we've all come familiar with, like the agape love and Othello and whatnot. And so I click here on Othello just to see what it says. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is the word where it talks about that it is Jesus's desire to give his best offer to you, right? And in reading this, I come back over here and I click on this one and I'm like, well, what is this bulamai? Or bulamahi. So I had said it wrong. But anyway, I will, intend, desire, and wish. And it says that this is to plan with full resolve, determination. It's a resolutely plan. It says it is a strong term that underlines the predetermined and determined intention driving the plan, wishing, resolving. In contrast to Othello, focuses on the desire, it's a wishfulness, behind making an offer. While God's Othello offers can be rejected, Bulamahi is planning, always works out to his purpose, especially in conjunction with presetting the physical senses of history. And I don't know if you remember the conversation or not in the video when you first inspired me to even pray for his best offer. I'm sitting here just going, wow. Even in his love, he's offering. He wants his best to be given to you. But you have every right to deny it, to reject him. He gives you the room to do that, even in the midst of him making his resolute plans that cannot be changed, cannot be moved. For instance, anything you ask in his name will be done according to his will. Why? Because he loves you and he wants to do it. And when he spoke the light to be, the light had no choice but to be. When he spoke to the waves and said, peace be still, it had no choice but to obey. And so, yeah, I'm so moved and so blessed and humbled and overjoyed at the same time. The more I look at this word, Othello, I understanding the heart of God better and our relationship, that he is not a bully. He's not one who imposes himself upon us at all. He gives us the free will to fully embrace him or fully reject him. It is his embirthed persuasion in us that encourages me to just remember to accept him, to want to accept him. Because I see his heart, and his heart is nothing but full of goodness and purity and love. I don't know. I feel like I'm pontificating on this subject, but it's such a beautiful subject. I can't help it. Hold on. Let me get over here to verse 15. So Jesus asked Peter the first time, Simon Peter, Jesus, okay, son of John. He's asking him, do you love me? And the word he uses here is agapo. Properly to prefer to love for the believer, preferring to live through Christ, i.e. embracing God's will, choosing his choices, and obeying them through his power. Preeminently refers to what God prefers as he, quote, is love, end quote. With a believer, agapo, to love, means actively doing what the Lord prefers with him, by his power and direction. True agapo loving is always defined by God, a discriminating affection which involves choice and selection. 1 John 4, 8, 16, and 17 are examples conveying how loving, quote, preferring, is Christ living his life through the believer. Okay, so that established. Backing up over here. Okay, so he's asking him, do you have this type of affection for me, this type of love for me, to do what I command? You're choosing to do this. And he goes, you know I love you dearly. And this love we saw over here is this great affection. Is properly to show warm affection in intimate friendship characterized by tender, heartfelt consideration and kinship. He deeply loves Jesus. Has a great affection for him. So coming down here, back to where we were a few minutes ago, it says that this word for this type of love comes from philos, which is beloved, dear, friendly. Excuse me, someone dearly loved or prized in a personal, intimate way, a trusted confidant, held dear, held dear in a close bond of personal affection. So this is the way Peter loves Jesus. It's a deep, abiding love. So he has an affection for Jesus in this way, as a matter of sentiment or feelings, while agapo, which comes from agape, is wider and broad, embracing especially the judgment and the deliberate assent of the will as a matter of principle, duty, and propriety. The two thus standing related very much to the others, right? So the agapo is more like a head sense of love for someone versus a heartfelt sense. Here it goes. Denotes the love of reason and esteem, properly to prefer to love for the believer, preferring to live through Christ, embracing God's will, choosing his choices, and obeying them through his power. Preeminently refers to what God prefers as he and his love, right? So this goes back to what we were saying just a minute ago, because we were just reading this. So this is more like a decision that's made with the head, not the heart. And I think that may be why Jesus is the one who kind of put him in charge of that, because he has a heart after God's own heart, so to speak. Because he's asking, hey, do you love me out of duty? And Peter goes, not do I just love you out of duty, I love you with my whole being, basically. And so then he tells him, feed the lambs of me, feed my lambs. And that word feed is, properly it means to graze, of course, right? But figuratively it means spiritually nourished by feeding his people the word of God. And in this case, it is stressing the feeding of his word. And the lambs that he's talking about here, of course, is properly a young lamb, a little lamb, but figuratively, it's a person with pure, innocent, virgin-like, gentle intentions. I love the fact that he asked him again, hey, do you love me to do what I tell you to do? And Peter's like, dude, I dearly love you with all my being. He goes, great. So shepherd the sheep of me. To act as a shepherd, tend, hence I rule or govern. It is distinct from feeding because this focuses on tending to them, taking care of them, which includes guarding, guiding, and folding the flock, and is only provided ultimately by Jesus Christ, the shepherd, who calls under shepherds, such as elders or overseers, to guard and guide his people by his direction. Interesting. It only occurs 11 times in the New Testament. Spirit-directed guidance and care, conjunction with feeding his people, teaching the scriptures. Okay, I can't leave you hanging. I had to look it up. Since we looked up lambs, I had to look up sheep. What's the difference between the two? So we saw lambs, not lamp. We're not looking at light bulbs here. We're looking at animals here. Excuse me. Lambs are, figuratively, a person who has pure and innocent, virgin-like, gentle intentions. So sheep is someone who is easily led one way or the other. So this is, he tells them to tend to them, to guide them as a shepherd and draw them in the direction of the shepherd. Don't let them get carried away with something else or someone else. And then it says to feed them. So again, that goes back to feeding, and the feeding is, give them the word of God. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So, interesting note on kind of the stuff, continuing what we were talking about last night, or what I was sharing with you last night. Well, I guess it was really this morning. It was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, neither here nor there. Somebody in the congregation that I meet with was posting a note today, and they're posting out of Matthew chapter 11, and it started with verse 27. And Matthew 11:27 says, "And things have been delivered to me by my Father, and no one knows the Son except the Father, nor does anyone know the Father except the Son, and the one to whom the Son wills to reveal him." So, I'm like, let me see what he means right here. I'm sorry for the pop-up here. Let me see if I can stop that real quick. All right, there we go. Put it on Do Not Disturb for now. Anyway, so Matthew 11:27, I thought I would look it up, where it says, He wills, whom the Son wills to reveal the Father to, right? Let me look it up. So I come over here, and this is one of our words from last night. It doesn't say, it says wills in the English version, but in Greek, the original writing, it says might choose, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. Let's see what that means. Because I have a rough memory of what it might mean, but I wasn't 100% sure. Oh, but bam, there's what I thought it meant. It meant that this is where he had set his mind to, he's determined. So remember yesterday we were talking about the different types of love. And this morning, the different types of love. And one of those loves was his will, his athela, or athela, however you say it, love, which is it's his desire to do it, but you can deny it and turn it down. But this one is the desire for him to give you something, and you can't say no to this. You can't deny it. You can't walk away from it. He's going to make this happen. So here he is, literally making it happen, that you are going to know the Father. Now, what you do with that information is up to you, but you're gonna get this. I'm going to introduce you to my Father. And how you choose to pursue that relationship or not is up to you. So I just thought this was really cool. Wanted to share it with you. Okay, so I don't really have anything pulled up here, but I wanted to point out to you, because I went back to the videos that I sent you this morning just to hear them again and see what was in there that I may have missed or maybe forgetting right now that, I've slept since then. Anyway, you're talking about the different loves and whatnot, and the I want to say agapo, but I think it's actually agapeo, or something. That sounds Asian, doesn't it? I was questioning myself as I said it. It sounded Asian. That's not how it was supposed to come out. But anyway, I'm stumbling all over it. Agapo. Questioning. Me putting a question at the end of it really doesn't make it sound Asian. But anyway, go back to the second video. You know what I'm talking about. Hey, we have a Greek lady in our congregation. If I see her again, I may have to ask her to say that word for me, so I know how to say it right. Anyway, I guess I could put it on Google Translate. Moving on. Anyway, all that to say, I went back and listened to the videos, and how we were just talking about in Matthew 11:27 when Jesus is saying that, the Son himself can choose who he wants to reveal the Father to. And if he chooses to, to reveal his Father to someone, it's a done deal. There's no movement of persuasion in that. There's no conversation had in that. It's just going to be done. You can't deny him the introduction he makes between you and his Father. And the love that comes behind that he does this in, is out of that agape love. It is the intentional, mind-set love. Here, I'm going to look it up real quick. Hold on. Okay, here it is. So what does it say? It says, means actively doing what the Lord prefers with him by his power and direction. So, always defined by God, a discriminating affection which involves choice and selection. For example, convey how loving, preferring, is Christ living his life through the believer. So when he is using his love to make his decision, it is this love right here that he's coming from. It is his preferred, discriminating choice to choose you, to introduce you to his Father. And you have no say in that. The only thing you have a say on from that point on is, what will you do after after that introduction has been made? Will you pursue that relationship with the Father, or will you go ahead and walk away?